So, normally a lot of things start with leadership, the vision. Where do you want to go? Somebody, a group of people, or one person has to show where. Today, we will probably finish with leadership that gives us a new start. And in order to discuss an idea of leaders and leadership for the future of Ukraine, I would like to invite to the floor my honored colleague, Anders Indseth from Norway. Please.
Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me to Ukraine. So give my presentation up, then there we go. Leaders of change. When I came in this morning, we're driving from the train station up to the hotel. I saw the big statue of the horse as a symbol of a world that has passed. And it made me think about something Hegel wrote 250 years ago, and that is took the German quote and put it up there so you can learn German. It was written 250 years ago. But Hegel wrote about seeing Napoleon ride on the white horse through the city of Jena. And he saw the soul of the world, the Weltethos, the power of this figure that had learned to master the old world. And I thought about this morning, that there are many similarities between Napoleon and President Zelensky. They had a rapid rise to power. They have a lot of external pressure. They know how to win the people. They are small giants. But there is a big difference. Whereas Napoleon was about power to exploit and conquer, President Zelensky and the people of Ukraine decided to fight for peace, for a new world, and the only world that has a future. And last week, when I was listening to Vladimir Klitschko in German television, he was asked, "Are you prepared to die for your country, sir?" And Klitschko answered, "No. I am prepared to live for my country." And that is much more difficult. The liveliness. When I was sitting here before listening to the minute of silence, it was the heartbeat of the world ethos, the heartbeat of the world. Humanity are meeting existential crisis, be it the rapid rise of AI, poverty, or the climate. But it all comes down to this very simple question. Will it be a world of dystopia and destruction, or will it be a world of liveliness, of future? And Ukraine chose the latter. Sending young innocent people on drugs based on a false narrative, on a time long past, that's something for cowards. That's not power. The strength lies in fighting for life. And this is what I felt coming here to my first visit to this wonderful city. And it all comes to what we have just listened to. How can we rebuild and reignite? How do you tackle the ambiguity of war and reigniting a country? And this is what you are doing. You're here. You have the ability to future. And the economy is the operating system. And I want to pick up on the crazy industries that my colleague just talked about. Yes, there are opportunities. Healthcare, it's chaotic. That's an opportunity. We got to sort it out. I like the communal aspect that we talked about before. Healthcare will experience decentralization. It will become local together with global technology. How do you approach those global large companies? You use their technology and you build on top of that. Education, the second thing, the chaotic industry. We educated people for a finite world about winning or losing. That's what we do in sport. Now we need to educate for an infinite world. And that is about understanding. It's not about knowledge. With AI today, the marginal cost of knowledge has dropped towards zero. You don't fight that. The kids go home, they do their assignments with AI, and you change the educational model. The kids come back to school and they challenge what they have written. They explain what they have learned and they take the piece apart. We need more teachers, better teachers. We change the model by using the technology to move from absolute knowledge to a society of understanding. A society that understands that the only way forward is progress. And we have this resilience. We have this. In Europe and in Germany, in my home country, Norway, we forgot that this very heart that beats every single day is something we need to work on. We take it for granted. And these are opportunities. In a new economy that has social and ecology baked into it. I liked the discussion before about the regenerative business model. And I want to go one step further. Ukraine today has a target of 80% renewables by 2050. That will never happen. It will go much faster. But the opportunity today is to understand within the next 10 to 15 years, the cost of energy on a global level will drop. The marginal cost of energy will drop so rapidly that we will not be talking about sustainability. We'll be talking about efficiency. So ecology and the social aspect becomes a part of the economy. And that's what the colleagues were talking about, these opportunities to go out and start to build that. This is the new art of doing business, where the post-Second World War era was about prosperity for all, a social market economy. Today, it's an eco-social market economy where the efficiency is about making money. It is about local and global. It is about tackling those paradoxes that we are confronted with. I call this the quantum economy. And I'm a strong believer in capitalism, but I'm a strong believer in a humane capitalism. Even the Dalai Lama said capitalism is a working model, but it needs compassion. And couldn't this be a vision for Ukraine? Couldn't you lead this future world? Couldn't you take the old Declaration of Independence that the American success story was built on, and what my colleague just said, to build a declaration of interdependence, where things are related? Just like the power that you have built, the resilience. You are, sir, because I am. I am because you are. This is the connection of the future world. This is the communal economy. So with the end of this wonderful initiative that we have today, maybe we can start a new story, a new initiative from Kiev, where the Welt ethos, the heart of the world, is beating. I have written a part, an excerpt of this Declaration of Interdependence. I started this, and I think this is the story that you need to tell to the world, that no one forgets, that we keep continuing to believe in this future. And we consider the following truth to be certain, that all human beings are not created equal, that individual rights and doubts and the duties are building blocks of our functioning society. The society works if we have trust. We just heard that. And that peace and freedom is not like our heart. It's not something we take for granted. And we did that in Europe. We did that. So the vision for Ukraine 2030, in my view, and my proposal for a new initiative, is prosperity for posterity. It is about getting up in the morning and putting in that work to fight for a world that is better for our children, better for our grandchildren. It's about believing in progress, because it's all humanity has. Our capability to come up with better stories, with better explanation. This is what we will fight for. And I was trying to sum up what the colleagues just said. Number one is, of course, peace. But the European triad, and Ukraine will be a part of the European Union, but it will not join as a member. It will join as a member that shows the world which direction we have chosen. It is one of peace. It is one of trust. Because only if we have trust can we have progress. If we have a trusted environment, we can have friction. We can talk it out. You have to believe in that trust. The self-trust. We believe in our future. We believe in this positive vision. And if I trust myself, then I can start to trust other people. Then we can build the collective. And the last path is about education. It is about teaching people about the values, about this new story. That this history does not repeat itself. That we keep reminding ourselves that it's not what to think. It's not the propaganda, the postulated knowledge. It's how to think. We become truth seekers. We want to have progress. And I hope that we can use this day for such a vision. Because when I came into train this morning, I was sitting there and my little daughter said, "When are you coming back, Daddy?" And I said, "It's safe, honey." And then I was sitting there this morning and I saw this little girl running like crazy with her school bag, just like my daughter runs every morning into the future. I was sitting in the train and I could hear her laughing. I heard the positivism. I saw her mom and I started to think about what her dad is doing. And he is fighting for my future, my daughter, and my grandchildren. And this is why we get up in the morning. And this is why the people in business and economy can be a driving force. This is why the people that are here are just as important as everyone else to take on that vision for a future worth living, one that we all believe in, for our children and our grandchildren. Slava Ukraini. Thank you so much.
Glory to Ukraine.
Well, thank you so much for the wonderful finish and start. And as we agreed, let's have a little bit of a discussion on the future of leaders here in Ukraine. I have a couple of questions, and I welcome you to use the QR code and to send your questions to the Telegram channel, and I will see them right here. I'll start with a joke. It was before ChatGPT. One of the multinational companies, they said, we use the modern technology to make the strategic choice, and we spend a lot of money to get to the two choices to our leader, and then he drops the coin to select the final one. how should a leader make the choice? Or in other words, what or who should lead the leader to make a choice?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think it starts with how we are trained to think. I think the education, the practical philosophy, what kind of skills do we learn at school? If we learn knowledge, this is not a good saving device. The computers are much better at saving data. Still, we have system where we go in and test how good we are at saving data. So I think the fundamental start is with education. And that leads to a truth-seeking mindset. And when I say so, I mean that if you look at a very simple thing like flying, so flying is bad. That's a narrative. We have to reduce flying. And I actually think that flying is really important because we need to come together and talk and meet in the physical space. It's one of the best ways that has brought us this far. You know, we have in history in the last 15 years we have a lot of progress, and that is because we travel. But the problem is the technology with which we travel, and that's where we don't get the problem. So we think we can fly less enough, right? But if you go to any airport in Europe now, it's not at holidays, it's packed, right? And you have the sustainable yoga, green, young people going on sabbaticals to Bali, and then they go to demos. So it's a very strange world. So we will most likely never fly less enough. And then there will be new regions like Africa growing from 1.5 to 4 billion people. There will be 400 million new passengers. So the only solution is to fix the technology. I mean, of course, there could be other things, but we start to tax and punish and reduce, and the whole crisis and reductionism takes a lot of power of this huge investment needed. And the strongest force for change, to me at least, is to find an incentive, to find progress. And I have a Syrian Turkish wife, and when I go to her and scream to her, we have crisis, she just looks at me with big eyes and say, "Are you crazy? Come back when you're normal. Go out and sleep outside." And then, so I have to find a positive vision. Regardless how difficult it is, the positive vision and the incentive for change, I believe, is always stronger. And I think that's everything we have, is to believe that we will have much better technologies for climate, how to fix mental health, social. And that is an always recurring belief in progress. And I think that is at the core of a lot of these things. And of course, we should think about our, how we live in the Western prosperous regions. But I think for the global community, we have to come up with better technologies. We have to come together, and that is a job that can start right here in Ukraine.
Yeah, thank you. And you brought me to the next question, where we've started talking about education, and we as business school, as an educational institution, we talk a lot about how to get better, how to know more, etc. But shouldn't we talk about, let's develop a word, education or education, where it should combine education with ethical education? We're not talking about that too much in business, but we come from a different angle. We start saying that it shouldn't be only positive to your business should also pay back to society. And here we come from a marketing point of view. But we've never came to business education from a philosophical point of view. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the same applies here. I agree. In a general state, it helps. It's like putting on regulation, taxing. We need frameworks, right? But the big change, I think it's the same with creativity, right? First, we have to stop educating people to behave unethically. We have to stop to take the creativity out of young kids, right? We don't want to have secure, the kind of sort of certified playgrounds. Kids want to play all over the place. They want freedom. So we have to, distinguish between play and game. Play should be fun, and that's creativity. We train creativity by living. But we have systems where we stop training creativity and put it into the game. And that's about the regulation part, optimization. That's the management. So we need stable management technology. But the leadership part, the human part, it's about the freedom. It's about the playfulness. So I think a lot goes in the same direction here. because I think at the core, people are good. You know,
Yeah.
we don't want to get up and fight. That's not what we want to do, right? But then there are these false narratives, the propaganda, the information, our schooling system. So we train people into boxes, right? So we categorize, and you need stability. I mean, from a quantum physical standpoint, this is not a solid thing, but I have to believe that it's a glass so I can drink it. But so we need some kind of structures, but we also need to understand that we live in a world not of homeostasis, static systems, because that's a dead system. We live in homodynamism. That's an ever-coming, ever-evolving entity. The economy is something coming, evolving. The democracies, as Derrida wrote, is a coming democracies. It's something that has never been here before. And that's about progress. And I think that is in the educational core is therefore to educate people to think, to reflect, to feel, to tap into what the Mensch, the human being, this wonderful word, Mensch. The Mensch at its core is in the German language the opposite of Unmensch. And an Unmensch is a negative person that is destructive. Therefore, a Mensch is a positive, uplifting, inspiring person to create, to get up and do stuff. And we forget that. So I think that's the essence of education, to teach people how to become a Mensch and then live with technology.
One of the things that can stop a leader from going into a wrong direction in the organizational world was beautifully described in an article called The Power of Catalytical Mechanisms, which shows that there should be a one-way path to limit the power of a leader to do whatever. Shouldn't there be something that can not only support the leader, but also to limit the leader in his or her ways of development, and in case it goes the wrong direction?
Yeah, I think limit development is always like I think I would not like to limit development as long as it's human growth in terms of. So I think it's more about a conscious way of living. So first of all, if you own a lot of stuff, it's very exhausting. It's always problems, right? So we don't really want to own all this stuff. It's just a narrative from the marketing and what we just listened to. And the other thing is that, if we are very conscious every day, so let's say you have a business, and I say, are you aware of the problem that you have? So say, yeah, well, I'll show you. And I show you every single day the damage that you are causing to thousands of lives or to planet or I show it to you every single day. Eventually it becomes difficult, maybe not for you, but at least for your kids to go into that narrative. So that's a consciousness. So at the core, we are social entities. And you look at, I'm more worried about this human growth aspect in terms of the crisis that we are having. So climate is too slow for us to feel. So we start reacting when the water is in our own basement, right?
Right.
We have been screaming climate crisis since 1970. 20 million people started the first global Earth Day. Climate crisis, 20 million, 1970. So the message of crisis does not get us in a position. Germany was really fast on detaching themselves from the gas. It took 8 months. Gas crisis as the war broke out. 11 months later, the gas price in Germany was lower than it was prior to the war. It was a little bit of effort. And I was visiting a conference in Germany a couple of months ago. It was the family business that we heard so much about. The Family Business of the Year award. And the winner, a woman, went on stage and talked about her organization and said she wanted to use the opportunity to give the management to her kids. So you have a generation that comes up on stage, and Frau Busch said that she's only worried about one thing. Climate, technology, everything. Just one thing she is worried about. And that is that we do not try enough, that we do not put in the effort. And then she invited 3 kids up on stage, 58, 60, and 62 years old. So she was 89 and still a CEO of the company. And she was only worried about that. And I think that's, regardless how difficult, we just have to get up and get on with that. And if we can work on the educational part to have more human beings that carry the values and put them up there, then, by the big things that we know are destructive, even cloning human beings, which seems like a good business opportunity, it was not proceeded because we knew that it was wrong. So there is something there, and I hope that we can take this power from Kiev and Ukraine into the European Union and build on that heartbeat, on that world ethos, and educate people to behave normally, in my view. But of course, we need the regulation, we need structures, framework, no doubt about that. But we've spoken a lot about that. I think what always is the short part of the discussion is how do we get people to just be nice, good human beings? That we get ourselves together and fight all the external things that we have and not against each other. That would be the first start.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I have a question, actually, two questions here from our audience. What do you think, what helps Ukraine to be so powerful in times of crisis? Maybe you could name several things that you're aware of.
See, I live in my prosperity bubble. I come from a country, Norway. I went to my first funeral when I was 39. My grandma passed away with 94. I have no idea where you find such a resilience, where you find the strength. The only thing that I can do is to take the message and keep repeating it in my bubble that we don't forget. And I can just, speak from my bottom of my heart that I have the greatest respect for what the Ukrainian people have done and have shown the world in their, the challenges that we talk about in Germany is how to use pronouns and gender people and work 3 days or 4 days a week and go on holidays. And it's a world where if they put in, the European countries put in the effort, we have the resources. And I think that I cannot give advice. I could just, be thankful that people get up in the morning and continue with this resilience. I can only take this message in my communities to keep reminding ourselves that we never take what we have for granted, our prosperity, our peace, and that is something to work hard for, if not for yourself, then for your kids and your future generations.
Probably I would like to finish with this piece of advice and philosophy. Be thankful, keep going, and keep standing. Thank you so much for being today with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.